In this video, I will be talking about the best insights and best advice that I have found from reading the book E-Myth Mastery. Now, you guys probably don't know this, but the author of E-Myth Mastery is very well known in business circles because of his other business book called E-Myth Revisited. And it's a very well-known book. It's highly recommended. And I haven't read it yet, but I've read E-Myth Mastery. So I think the biggest piece of advice that I found helpful was that it's important to treat people and parts of your business like an actual person, like actual, processes in your entire system, rather than being very selfish and trying to do things just for your own ends. A lot of people are just very selfish and they're always asking, how can you help me? Me. I want this, how can you help? And when you start doing that, you tend to objectify other people, or you don't see things from other people's shoes, and you don't try and help others as well. And that ends up hurting yourself. So that's one of the biggest things. One thing I didn't like about the book, I honestly thought it wasn't as good as what I assume E-Myth Revisited is. If you just look at the reviews, E-Myth Revisited, it has a much higher review rating, like 4.5 out of 5 stars. E-Myth Mastery is much lower than that. And as far as I can tell, E-Myth Mastery, there's a lot of points in the book, and this is just my opinion, I could be wrong, but I just felt like there was a lot of points that were just basically his opinions. And he's a very well acclaimed businessman who's made a lot of money, and so he does have some validity in his claims. So I would definitely listen to him as opposed to some stranger on the street. However, like, I just personally felt like there's a lot of points that he made in the book that he didn't really give logical explanations and reasons to. It was more so like, do this. And even if you have all these like achievements, I do place a lot of emphasis on logic and reasoning. So like, if he were to have explained like, this is why you should do it, and done it very clearly, sometimes he did try and do it, but I was just not thoroughly convinced. I was just like, well, that's true, but what about this? What about that? Like, you say to do it this way, but I'm not 100% sure. What if this happens? So there's a lot of those points where I was just like, I didn't fully agree with it. But I guess the biggest lesson I learned from the book was his whole story. There's an entire story in the book about his whole struggle with his business. And long story short, he was severely in debt to the point of, a lot of money, like millions of dollars, and then he was sued by a lot of his franchisee owners for a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this person probably did something that I would probably never be able to, which is he stuck through it, and he spent many years battling these lawsuits and turning his company around from in debt and losing money to doing very well. And it's an incredible story, and I think you can learn a lot from it, or at least be inspired by it. And it's told from the perspective of I'm the author, and I'm talking to my friend who is just starting out in business, and she calls this person he's speaking to by a specific name, because it's an actual person he kind of is giving this advice to. So it's an interesting story, and he also gives it from that perspective, which is great, because if you're an amateur or you're just new to business, it's an interesting way of learning about it, because he tells it in a beginner friendly manner. And there's this one point in the book where he kind of answers certain objections you might have, like, how am I supposed to ever do this? I'm just a beginning business owner, and you managed to do all this stuff. You managed to overcome all these lawsuits and keep positive despite losing money and being in so much debt and being sued by so many people. And I just think it's inspiring because he answers it in a way where he pretty much inspires you, and tells you like you don't have to do all this. Like as a beginning business owner, you know, if you just learn some of the foundations behind this, it can really work. And I guess the final thing that I find very useful about this book is just the whole fact that you know, he really brings out a lot of good points nonetheless. Just things like how you know, managing people properly, and I guess interacting with people the right way is important. Was it the best book in the world? No, I would give it maybe 3 or probably 2 out of 5 stars. There's definitely certain golden nuggets in this book, but not everything in the book was that great. I've read a lot of better books on business, to be honest. But I definitely have a feeling that E-Myth Revisited is going to be a lot better. Like I've been hearing a lot about that book, and not so much about this one, although it's by the same author. So that's pretty much what I want to say. You know, is it worth reading? I would say if you had to do no reading or you had to read this, I would suggest you read this because it's better than nothing. But there are better books out there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video.